Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday Night panel. We've got some guests on who will be reviewing the MK Dons team, Milton Keynes Dons, MK Dons, and previewing tomorrow night's game at Gillingham. But let's bring Vic on first of all.
Hi, Chris. Hiya. Just a couple of things to tell you about that introduction. You might have noticed behind that little flag, it was a group of Slovakian fans who made their way to the county ground on Saturday. We had a bit of a chat with them after the match, didn't we? And I think their team in Slovakia has the same initials, does it not? STFC. And now we have a Slovakian branch of the Swindon Town Supporter Club, do we not?
We do. They're a group of lads who a couple of Swindon fans met when they were supporting England, when they were going around supporting them, and got friendly, and they've adopted Swindon as their team. So they were over on Saturday.
Excellent. So, and also, you might have noticed a picture of Sam Parkin and the great Ernie Hunt. Well, Sam's birthday was Saturday, March the 14th, 1981. He was born, and Super Sammy Pass. And the great Ernie Hunt, Roger Ernie Hunt, March the 17th, 1943. It's his birthday tomorrow. Sadly, no longer with us, but what a player. Went on to play for Wolves and for Coventry in the famous donkey kick you might remember with Willie Carr all those years ago. What a fabulous player Ernie Hunt was.
No, I don't.
Well, obviously you're too young, Chris. No. But great player, Ernie Hunt. Yeah, and part of Burps Babes, that wonderful squad of the early 60s as well, with the likes of Mike Summerby and Bobby Woodruff and Don Rogers, John Trollope, people like that. What a wonderful squad that was. SAS travel news. Gillingham now leaving tomorrow at 1:45 p.m. And I've got some important parking news for you in a minute about that. And Tranmere on Saturday, both sold out. Now, they've increased the sizes for Cambridge, so they have about 10 spaces left on that. Leaving West Swindon at 1 p.m. I think that's a Thursday night, isn't it? Is it the 2nd of April?
Thursday night, yeah, 2nd of April, yeah.
Yeah. Leaving West Swindon at 1 p.m. Nigel Eady County Ground at 1:30. Members £25, non-members 27. And the space is still available for Colchester. That's a Friday night, if I remember rightly. Departs West Swindon 1:30 p.m. Nigel Eady County Ground at 2 p.m. Members £26, non-members £28. Now, parking tomorrow. Anyone driving tomorrow, would you please head for the back of the Arkles, because the main car park is taken up by the fun fair and by motorcycle training. So all that car park will be used. So if you could please head for the back of the Arkles, and parking will there first come, first serve, really. But they may have to double park to get everybody in. So don't go for the main car park. Head for the back of the Arkles John Trollope stand tomorrow, and you'll be shown where to park.
Excellent. Thank you. Women's yesterday had another good win against Abingdon Town, 5-0. They are now top of the table. So they're 2 points clear of Moneyfield. Yesterday's game was their game in hand. So they've gone 2 points clear of Moneyfield at the top of the table. So I think it's probably going to go down to the wire. So and it's Moneyfield away, last game of the season. So it's
yeah. Daft question, but Annie Colston scored, did she? Did Annie Colston
score? She scored 2, yes. She scored 2, yeah.
And there was a very special treat for mums on Mothering Sunday as well, I think, wasn't there?
There was. We handed out some bunches of daffodil to all the mums who attended, which went down really well. So that was on behalf of the club and the supporters club. So we got those together. So that was a really nice thing. They were most appreciative of it. So yeah, that was good.
And one other thing I should mention, of course, John Trollope, MBE, and Don Rogers with the replica of the League Cup trophy at half-time, marking the 15th of March. I don't know where you've been if you don't know that date, but March 15th, 1969, 3-1 win over Arsenal, worth celebrating every single year. What a day, what an honour for that club, and what a team. And it was lovely to see them on Saturday.
Yeah. Just a bit of planning from us. The 21st of April, it's a Tuesday evening. It will be our end of season dinner. Hoping to get the places released this week. So all members will get an email. It's also where you book your player of the season vote as well. So hopefully you should see something coming in your inbox this week for that. So 21st of April is our end of season dinner. It's going to be £32 this season. It's a choice of menu, chicken or beef, and there's a children's option as well, which is £15 for the children. Yeah, so that we will be sending out the email with the link on it to book for that as well. So, and then we will get on to booking for the fans forum after we get that one out. So, so lots coming on in the next few days.
Yeah, and it's 5 days before I attempt that thing called the London Marathon. So could you provide a sofa for me? That would be lovely.
I'm sure we will do something.
Thank you.
Right, let's get the panel on. So we have Mr.
Hi,
Hale.
Steve. Hello, Steve.
Right.
We have Bill, and
Hiya.
we have Neil. Okay,
Neil.
Mark's on the questions, so I will leave you now, and I will see you later.
Thanks, Chris. I've got a question here from Nick Smith. He says, what's the panel's feeling about Chelsea's fine today for much larger offences than Swindon's in the 1980s? Now, I don't know if you've all seen the news, but for secret payments to players, they've had a transfer ban suspended and a fine, Steve. A lot of Swindon fans will look at that and think, hang on a minute, Gov, that's not quite right.
I think we all know that the big boys with all their lawyers will get away with things far greater than a League Two club who probably can't afford the lawyers.
Mitch, what's your view of that?
I think they got a little bit of a, this is my understanding, they got a little bit of a lighter punishment because they declared it as opposed to getting caught. So I think the new owners have come in and gone, oh God, we've unraveled this kind of issue, so we're gonna have to declare it. I don't believe it was during their time. I believe it was during historically the old owner. So to do a clem wasn't me historical issues. So that's the way I hear it.
Okay, Phil.
The only thing which Premier clubs understand is points deductions. Fines are meaningless. They just write a cheque. And we had a massive points deduction with 2 leagues down, wasn't it? So it is one rule for the rich and one for the poor. Man City, I suspect they'll end up the FA paying them for damaging their reputation by taking them to court.
Oh, yeah, 115 charges, apparently. Rob?
I think the guys have probably covered most of it, but I guess the only thing that's a surprise is that Chelsea have had their punishment and they've decided not to punish Swindon at the same time, because that's usually the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah, we're still awaiting the Manchester City thing. I suspect we will be for some time somehow. And just to clarify, Chelsea have been fined £10 million, handed a suspended transfer ban after admitting making £47 million in secret payments to unregistered agents and third parties over transfers between 2011 and 2018. Okay, right. Swindon 1, MK Dons 2. Ollie Clark on 56 minutes for the Town. Alex Gilby had put MK in front on 36. Marvin Ekpetita on 79. The assist, Aaron Drinnan on 56 for Swindon. Aaron Collins on 36. Scott Hogan on 79 for MK Dons. The attendance, 8,833. Steve, what was your impression of the game on Saturday?
I've got to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought Swindon would do better than they did. MK are obviously a really good side, but I think the fact it was, I did say in the commentary, I don't like the phrase must-win games, but it was certainly a very, very important game, given the situation with, I think they were 5 points ahead of Swindon at the time, so obviously ended up being 8 points clear. So I was hoping that Swindon would give it more of a go, but I think ultimately MK were more clinical. Swindon, obviously, I think, all the stats, if you look at all the stats on BBC, everything was in favour of Swindon in terms of possession, shots in total, shots on target, saves made by Craig McGillivray as opposed to Connor didn't have a save to make. but they were clinical in that moment, unfortunately. And I think defensively, Swindon do need to tighten up a little bit. Scoring goals has been okay this season. I think they're second after MK Dons. They're second highest with Bromley for goals scored, but they're starting to drop down the charts in terms of goals conceded. So they do need to tighten up at the back. So I was just a little bit disappointed just because of the importance of the game. Because I think at the end of that 90 minutes, you sort of thought, well, okay, well, that's probably automatics out the window now. And whereas if they'd have won that game, you probably still would have had some hope of making the automatic. So, yeah, I think I just came away from it a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, I was going to say, your former employees, of course, isn't that MK Dons? I mean, are you surprised about how well they're doing? I saw Lincoln at Exeter on Tuesday, and you came away thinking that looks a promotion side. And I think you had the same feeling about MK on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. The only thing I was a little bit surprised at was probably earlier in the season where they weren't really hitting the straps, so to speak. They were having an up and down sort of run of results, but certainly in the most important part of the season, they've come on so strong. I think it's 18 unbeaten or 19 unbeaten, but I'm not really surprised by that. Obviously, I know financially the QAT owner who I met when I was there is obviously backing the club seriously with money. And the signings that were made, particularly in terms of firepower, it says it all. And obviously, I think was how many goals have they got? 74 goals, and there's still 9 games to go. So I'm not surprised by that. Callum Patterson, I think, is probably the signing of League Two, and he's played a major part for them. Mendes Lang, obviously, championship quality. And I know he's got his detractors in Swindon terms, but Russian Hepburn Murphy is a threat with his pace in behind. Even though he's maybe not prolific, he does cause teams problems with his pace in behind, especially late in the game. So with the firepower they've got, I'm not really surprised. And even some of the signings at the back end of the pitch, lots and lots of experience, higher than League Two. So no, I'm not really surprised. Probably my only surprise is it's taken them a chunk of the season to actually really hit their straps and come on strong. And perhaps if they'd have got together a little bit sooner, maybe they would be sat top of the league comfortably, whereas they are obviously still chasing Bromley down. But I think they'll get promoted automatically. Which position of the 3, I don't know, but I think they'll get promoted automatically.
Yeah. Mitch, what was your view? I mean, a lot of people really disappointed about Swindon's performance. What was your view?
Yeah, I'm normally quite a negative person, but I actually wasn't that disappointed. I think MK Don's going to win this league. I think that the caliber of players they have against us, their budget, like Steve said, I'm a Scotland fan. Callum Patterson should not be playing in League Two. He's a championship player, okay, outright. And we didn't even play him get to play him on Saturday. I think that was probably one of our better performances prior to the subs in a long while. The first 10 minutes we looked a little bit shocked, but after that we look quite comfortable with trying to play football. I felt sorry for Drinnan a little bit up there on his own. It looked like we tried to combat the midfield, which meant it was quite tight in there, so we should have used the flanks a bit more. But as soon as we made the subs, and I think we had to make the sub because of injuries or managing injuries, etc., like that, we just lost that strength, that leadership, that power. Taff is so important to us, but he's in for 1 and out for 5. Ollie Clark's so important to us, that bite in that midfield. You take those 2 off and suddenly you see what we've seen for the last couple of weeks, where we're just weak and a bit clueless at times. And I think, Ian Holloway said it, he's trying to find that balance of experience and youth. And it's either the youth is exciting but doesn't have the experience, and the experience doesn't have the legs or the know-how to kind of get at players at certain way. So we won't play MK Dons again. I think they win the league. I think Bromley's last 4 games are really tough. I just want us now to play like we did the first 60 before we made the subs and get a run of form to see if we can try and snatch that last 3rd place. I don't think we will, but at least have some form going into playoffs. And to beat Cambridge would be a big one for us, because it just says that we can actually beat a top 7 team. Because at the moment, we haven't beat a top 7 team, and that is my major concern going into the playoffs, because realistically, it is the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the spectre of Salford hangs around as well, doesn't it? It's just there, isn't it? Phil, what's your view? And I got loads of comments coming in, and we'll get to them in a minute. Ollie Clark on Saturdays, he was at Barnet the other week. I thought that was an outstanding performance from Ollie Clark on Saturday. He really did lead the team, didn't he?
I thought he was playing centre forward at one stage. He was so far forward. But he had what quite a few of the others didn't early in the game. He had real passion and drive. And I felt that they came out and they looked at MK and thought, oh, we can't play these. And they were so slow starting again. And, it was the sort of game they needed to really get at them. I was impressed, though, that from the kickoff, we actually kicked the ball forward.
Yeah. Yes. They don't do that anymore, do they? Odd that.
It seemed to be a rugby ploy to kick it for touch far
Straight
down
away.
Yeah. And then fight for the ball. But no, I was frustrated, I think, because and as their manager said after the game, he said that he was surprised that they won. He thought they didn't deserve more than a draw, and he was relieved to get the win. So we obviously troubled him a bit, and I don't think he was just being nice. He was talking to his own fans. So, we've just got to put it together. I think we do miss the pace of Michael Olagipe on the wing when he's not there, because we haven't got the ability to really break very quickly. Is McGregor injured, or because I think he would have been useful to have with his pace when he does come on.
It's interesting you said about the kick and the board, because we survived in football for 100 and goodness knows how many years when you had to kick the ball forward one circumference, and then they suddenly decided you had to pass it back again instead. Very odd. Anyway, lots of questions coming in, Rob, but let's conclude the little round of what you thought of Saturday. What were your thoughts?
The strange one to analyse, I think, Saturday, because I don't think there's any doubt, and we've all said it, Milton Keynes are the best side in this division. They've got the finances, they've got the players, they've got the infrastructure. They shouldn't be playing at this level, and they're now getting the backing to go with it. We all know their fan base isn't big enough, and that comes from their history, but there isn't any doubt whatsoever that on the pitch, they should be comfortably the best team in this division. And it has taken a while, as Steve said, for them to get to that point this season, but I don't think there's any doubt they're there now. And I don't have any doubts whatsoever that they will go up as champions. So you look back on it and think, well, we've played probably the best side in the league, and we had far more chances than they did. And that's the way you can look at it in lots of different ways. You can look at it and say, well, okay, for 25 minutes, we just sat off them, tried to defend. The history of the last few games, I think, where we've given goals away early, probably weighed heavily on them in their preparations. So they tried to be a bit more defensive. Soon as they started to go forward, though, they caused MK some problems. And we could easily have been in front before we went behind with Drinnan's opportunity in at the town end. And then second half, he's had, 3 opportunities himself? Yeah. One went wide, one went straight at the goalkeeper. And I think he flashed another one just wide as well. So... and that was all at 1-1. So the opportunity was there for us to win the game. We didn't take it. And then the substitutions came in. And then we looked the side that we looked for the previous 3 or 4 weeks. Short on ideas, struggling at the back, and really didn't look like we would get anything out of the game. And I think that's the real disappointment at the moment. Because we look back to last season under Ian Holloway. We really went at teams in that last 10 minutes, didn't we? We had everybody off the bench. We had players all over the place, never really knew what formation we were playing, but you knew we were going to have a real go. And it didn't feel on Saturday, once we were 2-1 down, that we did have a go. And it might just be that he hasn't got the players to do that now. But that for me was the disappointment. When we went 2-1 down, it just felt like that's it, game over. And it was never like that last season, but it is this season, unfortunately. It just doesn't look like we're going to get those late winners or late comeback points that we got last season, and ultimately that's going to cost us in the overall scheme of things.
Yeah, the likes of Butterworth and Glatzel. How much would we love those players to come off the bench?
Absolutely,
now? Yeah. Thanks very much for all your comments. Loads of them already, so we'll get through them throughout the course of the hour. But thank you very much indeed. Sean said they might make an appearance at Moneyfields for the women, of course, as they look to take the title. We wish them well in that. Sean says Steve is right. We would have gone through virtue had we had top lawyers. This goes back to the Chelsea situation. Kevin, one for Steve. Do we need a change in goal? Is it time for Lewis Ward? You knew that was coming, didn't you? What are your
I
thoughts?
get asked it every time.
You do. I know.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think he could do better on the winning goal. Obviously, on Saturday, he's come for the cross and not got there, unfortunately. And then he's not been helped out by his defenders behind him, Will Wright in particular. But you're going into the last 9 games of the season. He's played every single game of the season. He's more experienced. All due respect to Wardy, I love Wardy to bits, but he's more experienced than Lewis Ward. To make that change with 9 games to go, I think would be quite a big decision. I'm not sure it's the right one, and that's no disrespect to Wardy. Like I say, I love him to bits, but I think you've got to stick with Connor for the rest of this season, unless obviously he has a really bad next couple of games, and you've got no choice. But I still think he's more experienced. He's been in these situations before, which Lewis probably hasn't been as many times. So. I wouldn't be looking to make a change now at this late stage of the season.
I mean, it's very easy to criticise goalkeepers. We all, hey, I mean, look what happened last week with Tottenham, for goodness sake. I mean, a repeat of the Wes Fodringham at Preston incident when he got taken off. What's a goalkeeper go through mentally when a situation like that occurs? He must be aware that people think, well, Lewis Ward should be in, blah, blah, blah. What's the preparation like for a goalkeeper in those circumstances?
What, as in making a mistake?
Yeah.
I think you just have you don't have time. You can't have time to think about it. You've got to be like a goldfish and just forget it straight away. You can reflect on it after the game. You can reflect on it with your goalie coach. Look at the clips and think, what could I have done differently? But in the moment, you've got to be a goldfish. You can't let it dwell on you. If you start thinking about it, the chances are you're going to make another mistake. So you do have to forget about it. You've got to have a very, very thick skin to be a goalkeeper. He's gone through some peaks and troughs across the course of the season. I think when I did the Shrewsbury game, which was about a month ago, his save percentage had gone up to about 71, which is the sort of top 4 in the league at the time. But it's now dipped down to, I think, 67%. So that there are times where I wouldn't say he makes some blatant errors, but there's times where some of the goals go in. You sort of look at it and you sort of, could you do a little bit better there rather than necessarily blatant errors? Like some people criticised him for the first goal. But for me, that's taken quite a reasonable deflection off. I think it was Tafazoli, which has taken the ball in a different direction. And I know what that little adjustment can be like, because I think Taff was probably just inside the box. So the time it's hit Taff, that reaction time is very short, that he's got to try and to react to that. So I wouldn't be critical of him on the first goal, but yeah, you have to sort of question him a little bit on the second goal, because he's come for the cross and he's not got there, unfortunately. But yeah, in terms of mistakes, like you just don't have time. You've literally just got to be a goldfish, forget about it, move on to the next one. So you've got to be thick-skinned about it. Simple as that. You're going to make mistakes. Every goalkeeper at every level of the game makes mistakes. The better goalkeepers obviously are the ones that make the least amount of mistakes. But yeah, in the moment, you have to forget about it.
As do outfield players, of course, make mistakes all the time, but they're not quite so noticeable, are they? Simple as that, really. I'm going to run through the team now, and it was a 4-3-3 lineup. Ripley in goal. Wright, Knight, LaBelle, Tavazoli and Batty across the back. A yellow for Wright on 30 minutes. Palmer came on for Tavazoli on 68 minutes. Midfield, Clark, Nichols and Kilkenny. Mabete on for Clark on 78. Bodin on for Nichols on 63. And then up front, Oldacre, Drinan and Hoylett. Holman on for Hoylett on 63. The referee was Jamie O'Connor. Assistants Mark Senior and Richard Morris, and the fourth official David Rock. What do you think of that lineup, Mitch?
I saw it more as a 5-2-2-1. So 3 centre backs, Oldacre right wing back, Batty left wing back, and then Kilkenny, Nichols and Clark and Junior Hoylett. That's 2 arguably 10s behind Drinan. I think I understand the reasoning for it. It kind of tried to compact the midfield because we looked quite lightweight in midfield. But all it really did is left Drinan chasing shadows up front on his own quite a bit, looking a bit lost. And then we wasn't taking advantage of the space down the flanks, and we wasn't really utilising it. So it didn't make sense to me. There are other options where you could have put Knight Knight Labau out at right wing and put Mabite in at centre back, or Kirkman. I know he doesn't like Mabite, so go Kirkman left centre back if you're going to do that formation, because Knight Labau played right wing back against MK Dons in the cup and did really well. So it just looked a little bit imbalanced, and probably the same as every Swindon fan. I want to see Holman. I want to see Holman up front with Drennan as a 2. And if he's set on doing 5, go 5-3-2 and get them 2, because when I don't know the centre back of MK Dons, a big guy, but when the ball was put on him and Drennan was chasing down it, he was panicking. He did not look comfortable. So if we give another player to think about it, I just think it would have gave us a bit more. And I feel like Junior Hoylett didn't do what we expect him to do in this game, because the formation didn't seem to suit him. He didn't know to go out or be left or to come sit in the centre, but when he was in the centre, Ollie Clark was kind of there, so he's like, I'm going to create a bit of space out here. I understood the reasoning for it, and it was to compact the midfield, and I think Holloway even said after, we wanted to compact the midfield and people utilise the wings, but I think he had a go at someone for passing it to Nichols in the middle when we knew it was compact, because obviously he got caught just before we conceded, and we nearly conceded. And then identical thing again, he got caught again in the middle when someone passed it to him, and we scored. And instead of him going, Nichols showed it, didn't show his experience, he was more annoyed with the person who passed it to him, saying, we told everyone not to pass it into the middle and to use the wings. So it just didn't seem. I got it, but I think we could have been smarter with the way we shaped our team. And I think that Oldacre, I'm not a big fan, and don't think I ever will be. But it wasn't his fault on Saturday that he got put right wing back. That's not his position. It's not. There are other alternatives. If you must play that formation, I probably wouldn't have played that formation if you don't have a right wing back.
Yeah, very good goal, of course, by Nichols. Took it really well. Not Nichols, Clark. Took it really well, didn't he? Lovely finish, Phil. Some comments that have come in. Paul says, MK won more second balls than we did. We didn't seem to have much creativity in midfield. After the game Saturday, on 2 separate occasions, I heard somebody say, we were rubbish. Is it me, or were they watching a different game? Hi, Paul. We don't have a creative or defensive midfielder. All our midfielders are too similar, box to box. The difference between MK and us over both games is the quality of their defenders. Ollie Clark now injured. Who goes in his place? Phil, that's a big question, isn't it? I mean, as I said, I thought he was excellent on Saturday. And Barnett, he drove Swindon to victory, didn't he? There's no question about that. I mean, he's a big miss when he's not playing.
Yes. And I think that's where he's got to look at his formation, isn't it? Because we haven't got a direct replacement. And I think where we're lacking totally is to have any pace going forward, and that would help the midfield if we've got somebody who's stretching the opposition. And we look good. Our midfield looks good when we're going forward, but when we're having to be under pressure, we got no outlet to get it out quickly. And I go back to the days of Ian Miller, not a very good footballer, but he was always going to stretch teams. If you got the ball to him, 1 in 10 of his crosses found a red shirt, but he caused mayhem with his pace, taking the pressure off the midfield. And we just lack that. And Holman has some pace, and I can see Virch in him. His first touch still got a lot to work on, but he will fight and fight. But we've got to, have people who are going to drive forward. Else the midfield are just going to get swamped all the time because you're letting them come at you.
Well, that point is picked up, Rob, by Andy. He says, why did we sign Scanlon and Middlemass when we needed an aggressive midfielder? We've hardly seen Scanlon, and I think we've seen Middlemass for about 2 or 3 minutes. I can't think of any longer than that. But is that a point?
It is, and I think we all hoped that we'd signed a defensive midfield player in that window, and we never did. And potentially that is the one position that will cost us automatic promotion come the end of the season. I think that was the one bit of business we absolutely had to do in the window, and it was the one bit of business that we didn't do. We seem to have done Ian Holloway's classic of stack 'em and rack 'em in different positions, but not necessarily in the positions that we needed them. And I think we've seen this. We've been exposed when the game's been turned over, when we've lost the ball, many occasions over the course of the last 3 months when we're out of possession. If we've been in possession and we've lost possession, we are a very, very open team and very easy to break against. And the better teams will expose you on that. And Mitch said it a few minutes ago that the ball into Nichols, where Nichols made the mistake for the chance that Milton Keynes missed, we almost replicated exactly the same thing a minute later. And it's, you think, learn from your mistakes, because that clearly wasn't the ball to play then. So why do you think it's the ball to play now? And it wasn't. It was exactly the same situation, and we got caught on it. And again, it's a similar scenario to many, many games. We talk about, can we kill teams off towards the end of the game by killing the game? Give the ball away too often and get broken on, when teams can then break forward, put pressure on you. And that's what ultimately leads to your defence caving in from things like set pieces. You're under pressure too often, and sooner or later you will get caught. Connor Ripley, we talked about him a few minutes ago, classic example. He's dithering at the moment. That's the problem for me. There was a ball first half that came over the top that Tafazoli was just waiting for Ripley to come and grab, and he never got it. I think back to Crawley last week. There were a couple of occasions where he just didn't move quick enough. He adjusted his feet for one to make a brilliant save down to his left, but he didn't need to do it. If he'd adjusted his feet a bit quicker, he'd have just picked the ball up. And there were a couple of occasions where you just look at these. It's the decision making at the moment, and we need to be positive all around the pitch. And for me, when your goalkeeper starts dithering, it sets your defence on edge. And I think that's what we saw a little bit on Saturday. And that's what we need to get over now. I'm not advocating a change. I still think Connor Ripley's the better goalkeeper, but he needs some positivity, and we all need some positivity in that defence. Let's be positive. Come for every cross. Don't come for every cross, but just let everybody know what you're going to do. And I think at the moment, that's our problem. A lot of our problem is the fact that we're a side that don't seem to talk enough. We're a side that don't seem to be positive enough. And I think we're seeing that both on the pitch and off the pitch, unfortunately. And that's one of our bigger failings at the moment. We need to just turn that around and get some positivity back.
Martin says Tavazoli and Knight Labelle are good defenders, but the midfield offers them little protection. That continues that sort of theme. Hi, Paul. We need an automatic spot. I don't trust us breaking the new Wembley duck. The new Wembley. Sean says we beat Bromley and Cambridge at home. Hi, Jamie. Such fine margins. Always lose the top 7 games by the odd goal. Not much in them. They've got to remember that if playoffs, as most seem to think it's a write-off then, but in truth, it's a lottery. Not much between all of these teams. Hi, Alistair. Just can't defend 2 weeks running. We get into games and just don't learn from our mistakes. So where does the problem lay, and whose door? And hi, Malcolm. Nichols and Kilkenny were awful, he says. Their diminutive physique is ineffective in competing against giants in this league. And hi, James. We should be having more chances at MK where we are at home. We'll have more of your comments in a minute because we've got loads of them. Onto the stats, which Steve referred to. Possession, Swindon 53.5%, MK Dons 46.5%. Possession smashing. What can I say? Shots on target. Swindon 5, MK Dons 3. It goes back to the saves. Swindon 0, MK Dons 4, and corners Swindon 5, MK Dons 6, and there's loads more of them. Swindon had 12 shots, MK Dons 11. Total offside, Swindon 1, MK Dons 1. And long balls, this might surprise a few people, Steve, because we're accused of a bit of hoofball at the minute. Swindon 84, Milton Keynes 90. Now, what constitutes a long ball?
I'm not sure how they quantify it. Opta and BBC, I'm not sure quite how they quantify it. I've got a bit, like when I've watched the games Swindon this season, I couldn't really tell you what the style is, or there doesn't appear to be an identity as such. And maybe it's because I've worked at some clubs where we've been possession-based, clearly possession-based, Crawley, Forest Green, and Swindon, obviously, back in the day with Mark Cooper. But then I've also been at clubs like Oldham and Walsall where we've smashed it. But there's been a clear identity. But across the course of the season with Swindon, I don't really see Swindon being a possession-based team. But then when they do go long, it doesn't seem to work for me. We don't get people up close to Drinnan. It tends to be obviously either Drinnan up on his own up front or Ollie Palmer on his own up front. And then we don't actually pick up any second balls. We don't get close to the front man. So I don't actually think like playing long suits Swindon either. But I just don't feel like there's an actual clear identity of how we're going to play. So yeah, but as in terms of the long ball, I don't know how they quantify it really, but MK have got the ability to play when they need to play, but they've also got the ability to go in behind when they go in behind. And I know Paul Warner's got this reputation of being as like a direct style manager, but I thought I was only there with a short period of time with him. I don't really feel he is definitely that. His philosophy is basically play forwards, whether that's a pass forwards or a long ball forwards. But he wants his team to actually play forwards, not go backwards too much. But certainly in my short time with him there, he wasn't telling players to smash it. It was just play forwards. Now I say that could be a 5-yard, 10-yard pass, or it could be a 30-yard pass. He just wants his team to actually play forwards and be positive in his play.
Why do you think that we're not getting? I mean, Palmer's up front. It's the big man, small man scenario, isn't it? If you think about it, nods the ball down and there's nobody close to him. So why aren't they close to him like that?
Yeah, but like that, football's a fashion, isn't it? Like you used to have two up front. Now, nobody wants to play with two strikers, and everyone overloads the midfield and everything. No one wants to play with two strikers, so it makes it really difficult. Because, like you say, going back in the day, it was a big target player and a quicker, shorter player off him. But that doesn't really happen. But it's like even on Saturday in the first half, when the ball was going into Drinan, who was sort of trying to battle to try and get hold of the ball, like. I think Hoylett was probably the first to try and get forward and support him. Then Ollie Clark was sort of like second, if you like, to try and get forward and support him. But it just didn't really happen. I thought we played a little bit deep in the first chunk of the game, although we did actually create a couple of really, really good chances. But yeah, it just I think he was battling on his own up front, Drinan, and I think I gave him man of the match, to be fair, because I felt that his work rate was as excellent. He was chasing lost causes. He created a few opportunities for himself, a couple of shots that were comfortably saved, one that whistled past the post. But I just felt his work rate and work ethic and what he was giving to the team, despite not scoring, I thought he did well to battle with what he had or what the type of service he was given.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever fault Drinan's work rate, can you? I mean, he's a 100% player. There's no question about that. Hi, Daz. We've conceded 17 goals from set pieces as of March 2026. 18, is it? Who said 18? Is it?
I did, yeah. They're up to 18 now after Saturday.
After Saturday, yeah.
20th in League Two for goals conceded from set plays.
Yeah, that accounts for approximately 30% of goals conceded. Hi, Tony. I think personally our problem is changing positions of players in a game, loses the balance of play. As to Clark, should be in midfield. We're not strong enough in midfield, puts the stress on the back of the defence and not making possession for the forwards. And Stuart, you've got to play players in their positions and your strongest team. I think Holloway tinkers too much, Mitch. What's your view of that?
I get his reasoning for it. What I will just quickly want to answer something, Steve. Swindon do have a style, depending on who's up front. So if it's Ollie Palmer, it's Avett football, and if it's Drinan, we do try and play football. The only person who goes Avett when it's Drinan is the goalkeeper Ripley, because I don't think he has any other distribution other than smash it long. There is a style. We play a much better style of football with Drinan than we do with Ollie Palmer, but that's not Ollie Palmer's. Ollie Palmer doesn't want to smash up him long. I feel sorry for him. They look at him and kick him, hit it like he's Harry Smith, and he clearly doesn't want that style of football. So that's why you're seeing different styles, because it depends who's up front. And most of the time it's both of them, and therefore we smash it long. And Drinan's not a run-off you player, and you can see that from a mile off. With regards to the question you just asked, there are a lot of people that he's trying to funnel into certain positions, and Oldacre was a perfect example of that. And I used to love Holloway for tinkering or changing it, because I used to get so frustrated watching Kennedy or so-and-so. Just, we could all see the issues, and the managers before would go, well, it might work out. We get a number of box entries and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, just change it. We can all see it isn't working. Change it. I love that Holloway changes it. That's probably one of my favorite things, that he doesn't sit there and just go, oh, this will work eventually, hopefully. So I love that he's willing to change it or go for it, but sometimes it goes from being not changing it to irrational. So like sometimes you're like, it's a little bit. Last year we loved the Rackham and Stackham towards the end of the season because it was going in our favour, but we also had the players, like you said, the Butterworth, the Amines, the Glatzells, the players who could kind of get in behind. At the moment, we don't have that. The players will bring off the bench. I think a different style of player. So like, this is going to sound mad and people will attack me. I think Billy Bowden's too good for us. I think he's on a different wavelength to everyone else. So he doesn't line up to what he comes on and doesn't change the game because he's not, I know he scored the other day, but he isn't fast. And then he tries to play football, but no one else wants to play football. Everyone else is trying to kick it long or run off. So he seems a little bit not in the style of play we look. And Palmer comes on and everyone starts smashing it long to him. So it's the people off the bench at the moment don't complement the get it around the sides. And without Ola Kidby, who is our only form of pace at the moment, we don't seem to know how to adapt when the things don't go our way. So it doesn't work the same way it did last year with the Rackham and Stackham because you had multiple. But yeah, I'd go and get Jake Tabor back now and go, look, we don't have many options off the base. He scares them. He's rapid. And for some reason, we always put him out wide. Put him on the last man. And if we're going to go long, he's your option because he's so fast. He terrifies them. I think someone said about an old player, 1 in 10, but he scared them and he took the pressure off. I don't think we have that at the moment. But I get changes and I like changes, but sometimes it's a bit irrational. We're all looking at him going, you can see everyone in the crowd go, why has he made that sub? Or, I'm going to trust him because he knows more than me. But sometimes you're like, nah, we're seeing this completely different to you. And the subs don't make sense to us fans. Isn't one or two. I think the majority will look at each other and go, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I think people get angry at the weekend, but we could see it was injuries and stuff like that. Or one time when he made a sub corner and we could see that everyone this Saturday will write off because of an injury. But a couple of weeks, everyone was like, you don't make subs. Like defending set pieces of corners and we concede. I like that he makes changes because I used to hate sitting there and not seeing them, but sometimes it comes across as a bit irrational.
Yeah, Joe Wesley was another player that we used to come off the bench last season. He was always a very good option, wasn't he, when he came on? Mitch was right. Get Holman up front, and Mitch should be on Match of the Day. Great analysis, says James. So, how wide is your door, Mitch? Is it a big door or is it?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah, be all right. Okay. Malcolm says Ripley has a tendency to stay rooted to the spot and not come to claim the ball or comes too late. Borland can play the Clark midfield row, but naturally much less experience. We've recruited what we can afford, says Ian. Nick says, did the panel notice Paul Warren go over to recognise the MK fans before kickoff? I understand Holloway doesn't want to celebrate now. However, he could do so much more with the fans. Is that a problem, Phil? I mean, the point is that Ian Holloway's made. He doesn't want to celebrate because he knows that they celebrate at the minute. I mean, does it matter?
He's actually quite surprised me because I thought he would be more engaged with the fans. If you see the team coach arrive, when he comes off, he stops and chats to the fans outside the ground. But inside the ground, he doesn't go around. When we played Supermarine in pre-season, he went around the whole ground shaking hands with people, thanking them for coming. I thought, he's going to be really, working the fans. But he has got remoter, I think, from them. And some of his criticisms of the fans have been, I think, good. But sometimes they've come across in a negative way. And, I was thinking that his style of management, the old-fashioned style, that he would know that if you work the fans, they'll help the team.
I mean, they've been asking for more noise at the county ground. There was plenty of noise on Saturday, wasn't there? And my view's always been this, that you've got to have something to get excited about. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? I mean, if nothing's happening and it's kind of a bit dull, it's very difficult to get excited about it.
And I don't know what's happening about the shambles of the town end because that's become an issue.
Yeah,
and it should be dealt with. And we need a loud town end. That's always been, one of our strengths as a club. And there's either a problem, get it sorted, get the fans back in there who we want in there, and make it safe.
I think a lot of people have pointed to the town end as being an issue. I mean, many of us who went on the town end in our younger years was the beating heart of the town. I mean, it was that simple, wasn't it? That's where all the noise came from, where all the singing came from. I mean, if you go to Exeter, it's the big bank. That's where the noise is. It's incredible, and it stays going all the way through the game. So
now it's split because there's a group in the top of the Don Rogers stand who I think were in the town end. So your noise level is split between two stands. So that takes it back down to a lower level.
I think the message is get the town end sorted out. I mean, get the parties together, whoever it all is, and try and sort this out. Simple as that, really. Ian, early in the season, Drinnan's chances go in. Adrian, Wright, Nichols and Oldacre were poor. You can't get promoted if 3 players not at it. Long balls are good if they are vaguely accurate. Ours usually end up in the stand. Hi, Paul. No identity and style when you're changing the team every 5 minutes. Rob. Was surprised to see Ollie Palmer involved, given he was up in Wrexham on Sky TV on Friday night. Wouldn't have got away with that with Lou Macari. It was a talking point before the game, wasn't it?
It was, and it will be when Swindon's not winning. If we'd have gone out and won on Saturday and Ollie Palmer scored the winner, nobody would have said a word, would they? So it's a talking point because the results aren't going our way. It clearly was part of the contract that they were well aware of when he signed for Swindon. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It feels wrong when you see your first choice striker the night before a game 150, 160 miles away from where you need him. But clearly they knew he was going to be on the bench at that point in time and he wasn't going to start. So it was only going to be a cameo performance from him. So I'm a bit more sanguine about that, to be honest. I think it's probably more the togetherness for me. It's the fact that it's sort of probably the wrong description, but it sort of gives the impression that there's a divide. He's doing one thing and everybody else is doing the rest. And you know as well as I do, Vic, in footballing terms, you don't necessarily need it doesn't necessarily need to be right for people to jump on it and then make a big story out of it. And I think that, to be honest, is probably what's happened here. It's I don't imagine it was anything that was a particular issue for both Ian Holloway or Ollie Palmer, but the fans will jump on it. They'll see it happen, and the result doesn't happen on the Saturday that follows it. Inevitably, it's a talking point. And I guess we've just become accustomed over the course of what feels like an eternity now for the communication lines not to be very clear. And when you see something like that happen, you realise again, just doesn't feel like the communication lines are working properly once again. Don't know. All I'm concerned about is obviously what happens on the pitch for us. And that's the same for every Swindon fan. So whenever you see a distraction like that, it just gets the hairs on the back of your neck standing up a little bit more than it should, I think.
Hi, Jamie. Glad Steve has picked up on our lack of style and identity. It's a really good point. We don't seem to have one other than in away games of tippy-tappy at the back, then long balls forward for Drinan and Holman to chase. Hi, Glenn. I'm more than happy with Ian Holloway's managerial style. I like his honest approach and understand his frustrations with injuries, refereeing, press, etc. I would love us to get automatic promotion, and I think I could even endure another go in the playoffs. But if we don't make it, then I feel we're in a better position than we've been to go again. Before he came in, we were struggling to win a game, and we were in real danger of dropping into non-league at one point last season. All fingers are crossed that we can get over the line. Well, let's have a look at the league. Bromley on top, of course, 73 points from 37 games, 24 goal difference. MK Dons 71 from 37 goal difference. And then Cambridge 68 from 36 with a 27 goal difference. Then in the next 4 teams, Notts County in 4th, 64 from 36, 19 goal difference. Salford 64 from 37, 5 goal difference. Then the Town 63 from 37, 15 goal difference, and Chesterfield in 7th, 59 from 37, 11 goal difference. Playing Gillingham tomorrow night, Steve. Their last 6 games, lost, 1 drawn, lost, conceding 10 goals in 2 games. Now, I mean, on paper, they're in 16th place, 36 games played, 45 points, minus 9 goal difference. On paper, Swindon should go there confidently looking at a win. What's your view of it?
You have definitely got to go there feeling confident. They've got to bounce back, obviously, from Saturday, and it is important they go there with a positive mindset. Of course, bad runs can come to an end at some point, and we hope it isn't obviously tomorrow night. But the flip of that is that when a team is really struggling and the confidence is very low, that's why it's really important that Swindon start the game bright. I think Gillingham conceded in about the first 3 minutes on Saturday off the back of obviously the 5 in the previous game. And when you're in those sorts of situations, when that first goal goes in, your heart just sinks and you just feel drained. And like people often say, players look like that they've given up and they're not running around, and it does come across that way. And I think it's a mental thing more than a physical thing. You just feel drained. So I think it's really important that Swindon go and really attack the game tomorrow and literally stand on Gillingham's throat and make life difficult for them and continue to put them under pressure and get the ball in the box as many times as possible. Because if you're conceding as many goals as they are conceding, a lot of the time it will be down to players making mistakes, goalkeepers, centre-backs, defenders. So the more times you can put the ball in the box, the more times you can force mistakes. So I certainly think that Swindon have really got to go and attack that game. I am actually confident that they will bounce back tomorrow. I hope I don't have to eat my words, but I am confident that they will bounce back tomorrow. The only difficult side to it is obviously, again, a long away trip on a Tuesday night when you've just played on the Saturday, but they can't use that as an excuse. They've got to go there and really attack the game and put Gillingham to the sword. And I'm sure every Swindon fan would enjoy that as well. So, yeah, I'm positive. I think they will go there and get a result. Swindon are scoring goals. They've just got to make sure they shut up shop at the other end, really.
Yeah, Mitch, on Saturday, of course, they got a Tranmere, and their last 6 lost, drawn. So again, if you look at this as a promotion-chasing team, Tranmere is 20th place, 36 from 37, minus 17 goal difference. If you're a promotion-chasing team, these are the 2 games you've got to look at and think, we need 6 points out of these, aren't they?
We felt that way about Crawley and Bristol Rovers. So it's not a given. If you look at form, I think Tranmere in the last 5 games they're rock bottom in form, and Gillingham are 21st. So you go, but we're 16th in form in the last 5 games. So we're not up there where we are at the moment. We've won 1 of our last 5. We've lost 2. We've drawn 2. So it's not a give. We're in that league table based on a form of playing loads of bad teams and making sure we've got that win and run together, and a form in post Harry Smith's injury where we're on a good run of wins. I hope we win, and it just whatever team. It depends what team he plays. If Taft's fit and not injured, we got a chance. It comes down to that. If Taft's fit, I genuinely think if Taft's fit and we can get 60 minutes, I don't think he will play because Saturday, Tuesday is going to be probably too much. And he wasn't moving at best when he was playing. He's quite I know he's a big guy, but he looked quite slower than normal when he was trying. Great run forward for the Clark chance, but I don't think he'll play. I think he's the difference. And Gillingham, off my memory, were they quite a physical side before? They're quite aggressive, and I just feel like the aggressive physical sides are the ones that we're a bit like, oh no. And if it's the likes and Ollie Clark's out as well, so we've got, and he likes to play him at the back, which I get. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. At least you've got that aggression leadership. You're suddenly left with the likes of Will Wright, who is not aggressive in any form or way, Knight Labau, who is quick, so he's your sweeper, Mabite, who doesn't seem to like, and Kirkman. I think Ball might back. Ball's my midfielder, as in that aggression to be your Ollie Clark replacement. I don't know why he doesn't see it. Obviously, we let Offerball go, and he was your enforcer. I don't think these are givens for us. I think if we played like we did the first 60 minutes against MK Dons, we should be 2 or 3, hopefully out of sight, and then we can take the players off. It just comes down to the team, and that's what concerns me, because I don't have faith at the moment in. Without the leaders on the pitch, we just look a bit lost. And our experienced players like Nichols is getting caught on the ball. Ollie Palmer, all he does is just moan at people. If he does something, it's fine. But if someone else does the same thing, he just screams and moans at them. So you're just looking at these experienced players going, well, it's Clark and it's Taff. And without them, we look naff. So nice little rhyme in there. So
fair enough. Well, Dad says James Ball fit again. No sign of him in the squad on Saturday. We'll always give 100% in any position he's asked to play in. Tabor, if Lewis Ward and Jake Tabor are the answers, that says much about the questions. I think missing Glatzel and his energy and pressing is a bigger deal than we often realise. Well, I think we've all said that Glatzel is a big miss. Jackie, wonder if Ollie thinks he might be failing, so backing off more. Hi, Ben. Get Ripley out as his kicking is awful and those mistakes come from him kicking the ball out. Standing for the town end, stewards were having a go on Saturday. That's another issue. They really do need to sort this out. A few have moved over to the North Stand as well and still get issues there. They get told to sit down, yet away fans all stood up only yards from them. If we don't get promoted this season, it will deflate everyone. It will be tough to come back from. We all know we don't win at Gills, no matter what form they are in. Remember against 9 when we were rock bottom. Not won there since 86. Won 3-1 on December the 27th, 1986. I remember that because, Phil, I'm old enough to have been reporting on the game. It's not a happy hunting ground, is it?
No, and again, I've always put it down to attitude. When we go there, we've allowed them to intimidate us rather than us going at them. And their fans are quite raucous when we're down there because of the old needle between the two teams. And, you know, as Steve said, you know, tomorrow night, if we don't go at them from the word go, we'll miss our opportunity because you're fragile. So we've got to get in there, get an early couple of goals, and then we can go forward. But I want to go back to the goalkeeper. Steve, is there any stats about the effectiveness of what I call long throwing out from goalkeepers, how effective that is? Because Ripley's got a hell of a good throw, but his kicking is so wayward. At Crawley, he could find red shirts all the time, raw Crawley shirts, but he can't find a red shirt at the county ground.
I think it's twofold. I think it's one of my bugbears in terms of goalkeepers nowadays. Not many goalkeepers throw the ball out like they did back in the day, the likes of Schmeichel, and everyone wants to side volley the ball. And so not if you watch games, any leagues, you don't actually see too many goalkeepers throw the ball out. But then I suppose the other side of that is players have also got a show for them as well for them to be able to do that. But yeah, I don't disagree. There are times where he probably could throw out, tends to kick. But again, what we don't have is context in terms of I don't know what his instructions are from Ian Holloway, because sometimes as fans or watching a game, we watch a game and we think, well, why is this player doing this? Why is that player doing that? It doesn't make sense to us. But actually, there's a context in that. Well, that's what that's what the managers asked that player to do. I can remember back 2015 when Wes was playing, and obviously we played out from the back a lot, and he took a lot of high risks. And Brighton came to watch him in the second half of the season. And Antti Niemi was actually the goalkeeping coach for Brighton, and he was coming to the end of his contract, Wes. And they came to watch him, and the report went back to Brighton that, no, not for me, takes too many risks. And I thought that was really unfair because he was taking risks because that was how he was being asked to play. If he was asked to play, stick it in the channels, he could do it all day long. So sometimes I think we as people watching a game, and we sort of think, well, why is this player doing that? Why is that player doing this? It comes down to actually what's the instructions from the manager, and they might be playing how the manager's asked them to play. But going back to your point, I don't think goalkeepers throw the ball out anywhere near as much as they used to, and I don't know why, because you can be far more accurate with a throw. And when I have seen Ripley throw the ball, he has got a decent throw on him.
Well, up at Harrogate, he was slicing the ball down the left of the pitch all the time when he kicked out. Olagipi was often totally unmarked out on the right, where a good arrow throw, he would have got Olagipi going a lot quicker and be able to cause more damage. It was just this constant slicing it down the left-hand side of the pitch when there was an availability out there on the right who could cause damage.
Fair enough. Okie doke. Here's one for you, Rob. I know where you are. Ben says, Mabete. I've known you for many, many years, but rarely have I seen you so enthusiastic about a player. I mean, you absolutely love him, don't you?
I just think he's fantastic. He brings the. He not only does he have the ability, but he is one of those players that just get fans excited. Yeah, he's got a mistake in him. We know he's got a mistake in him, but some of the things that he does on the ball as a centre half is just exactly what you need to see. He cleans people out. He wins headers. He's just what you want a big centre half to be. And I just think for a young player who obviously I assume cannot necessarily see eye to eye all the time with Ian Holloway off the pitch, or I'm sure he'd be in the team every week. I just think there are There have been times we have absolutely missed a trick and not brought him on. And Saturday was another classic case in point because he came on for Clark when he should have come on for Tafazoli. There's no doubt at all Clark should have stayed in midfield and Mbete should have gone centre half. Because as soon as Clark went back into defence, we lost that drive in midfield. And Mbete was a standout player to have taken Tafazoli's place. Couldn't understand it. Every time that you see Mbete on the pitch, he doesn't necessarily fill you with absolute confidence, but he gives a shape to the team that we don't have when he's not there. And I just think it's absolutely the game tomorrow night. He must play. He must play tomorrow night with the absence of probably Tafazoli and Clark. If Mbete doesn't start tomorrow night, we're seriously lacking in height at centre back. And the one thing Gillingham do possess is a long throw into our penalty area. They don't have much, but they do threaten from long throws, and they did down here. And I do think we'll struggle tomorrow night if he's not in the team. If he is in the team, I think we'll win.
I think we remember one challenge.
Near you when the teams list comes up. It'll be an interesting eruption.
Yeah,
I think you'll know what comes from my mouth, Phil, as soon as you see that team sheet.
It's interesting. You remember one challenge at Crawley when he put the player in the stand, right?
Absolutely, and that's what you need as a fan, isn't it? That's the sort of thing that really gets
you love
you
it, don't you?
enthusiastic.
Remind me of Gerald Eiffel when we got him all those years ago. You know, you knew
there was a mistake in Gerald Eiffel, wasn't there? We knew that, but you knew fully well he'd give you absolutely everything, and that's what you get from Mbete.
It was lovely to see Gerald at the museum event last week. What a lovely chap. And we're going to get him on the sofa actually to talk about his career now because what he does is amazing. So hopefully we'll have him on in the next couple of weeks or so. Tomorrow night, Newport against Bromley. On Wednesday, it's MK Dons against Colchester. Tomorrow, Walsall, Cambridge, Accrington, Notts County, Salford, Barrow, Chesterfield, Oldham, as well, of course, as Swindon at Gillingham. So it's a full programme tomorrow night. Things may be clearer tomorrow night, but I'm guessing they won't be. Ben, for Mbete's leagues ahead in his reading of the game and strong. We need him for physical terms. Why was Holman only brought on at 62 minutes? Totally insane. Playing for 90 minutes. Oldacre was a waste. And let's end it on this. This is from Lawrence. Can you ask Mitchell where his clock came from, as I've not seen it in the club shop? Where did your clock come from, Mitch?
Many years ago, somebody on Twitter started making them, and he made a limited amount, and then he stopped making them.
No.
It was it wasn't cheap. It was quite expensive, and the clock does work, but it's very temperamental, so I just left it at 3 o'clock.
A bit like the one on the Stratton Bank, then.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Bit like the one on the Stratton Bank. That
work. But no, the person doesn't make any. It was very limited amount. Someone on Twitter made.
So that's the answer to that, Lawrence. So it would be great if they did make them. I've got somewhere behind there. I've got the picture, the big picture of it. But it would be good if they did sell them, wouldn't it? Steve, let's go around then. At the next two games, how many points?
3 points tomorrow night. Tranmere will be difficult because obviously Pete's gone in there, stopped the rot on Saturday with a clean sheet, and he'll make them harder to beat. So I don't think that'll be as easy. I think I'm going for a 3-1 win tomorrow night and possibly a draw at Tranmere.
Okay, Mitch.
Exactly the same as Steve. Subject to what the team is tomorrow. If we start playing Oldacre and a makeshift defence and the team looks a bit scrambled, then we don't win tomorrow. But if we play a reasonably okay looking team, win in a draw.
Phil?
I'm going to go for 2 wins and shock everybody.
I'm kind of hoping for the same. I'm hoping for the same, Rob. What are you hoping for?
Well, Mbete plays tomorrow, we win. Mbete doesn't play tomorrow, we lose. And at Tranmere, we'll win 3-1.
There you go.
Ooh.
And how different will it all be then, Chris? Don't forget Falls Rush in at 9 o'clock. So if you want some more Swindon Town content, they're on at 9. But that, Chris, is the Monday night panel for this week.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rob, Phil, Mitch, and Steve. And thanks, Vic, as always. So Vic and I will see you next Monday. We don't know who we've got on yet, but we will be sorting that out this week. And for me, it's going to be 6 points as well. So And I will eat my words on Monday if I have to, but
Okay.
it's what my heart is saying. So thank you, everybody. Have a good week. See anybody that's going to Gillingham and Tranmere on Saturday. If not, Vic and I will see you next Monday. So take care and see you soon.